Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Hi, gang curling fans. Call, you know what the beauty of this show is, eh?
What's that, Dev?
We're doing it live every single night. The other night, your internet wasn't the best. Seconds ago, I had to reset my modem. We had nothing. Yeah. And here we are.
And you were making fun of me the other day, too, about my tablet modem. But
curling karma. It'll always get you.
It does. It comes back to get you. Cheers to you, though.
Cheers.
What a great show we have. We're waiting on Rachel Homan, by the way, who's coming back from the arena. Can't wait to talk to her. She's got a hot skip, eh? Statistic-wide, Devin, there she is, almost 8 months pregnant, right. Top skip at the Scotties this year, curling a whopping 84%. And her plus minus is outstanding.
Incredible. So she's been texting me. She's at the arena right now. Randy Furby, the coach and the great curler, picking them up. She says, I might be about 10 minutes, depending on if Randy shows up on time. Hey, we're doing it live tonight. What a wacky and wild day yet again it was at the Scotties. Call, I don't know if you saw it this afternoon. 8 measurements in the game between Northwest Territories and Alberta today. It was a tie after 8 times around the rings. Were you ever in any games like that?
I've had ties before, and ties are so disappointing in an end, right? Because it can determine a lot. In mixed doubles, not only when you have a tie, you don't score anything, but the other team gets the hammer, and you're like, wow, we may as well shake hands now. Right. But I digress. That was an important win for Laura Walker-Crocker because to get back on track after 2 losses. So. Big win for her.
And even more important because, of course, I believe last year at the Scotties, she started 3-0 and then went on a slide, started 3-0 this year, lost 2 in a row. And I think everyone was going, oh, here we go again. So, extraordinaire producer, can we see the standings, the updated standings? Colleen, look at it. We're seeing the cream rise to the top in Pool A. We probably expected that. Then there's a bit of a log jam behind that. And then Pool B, flip a coin.
No kidding. St. George still at the top and Burt at 3-1. Interestingly enough, Suzanne Burt is near the top, but as a skip, statistically, she's sort of not near the top. She's only curling 64% for the week. So I was sort of alarmed by that statistic after seeing Rachel at 84%. That's a 20% difference, for example, between Rachel and Suzanne. So I'm telling you, when you look at it, and I've got my standing boards here, I've been dying to do this. We need to erase Nunavut at 0-5.
Colleen.
And you come 0-5.
Colleen.
Yeah. Too early?
How much? Too early. How much time do you spend on the board every day?
A lot, because I double check it, triple check it. I double, triple, quadruple check it to make sure my standings are just fine.
You are
so I love, when you look at Ontario, Homan, and Einerson at 5-0, they meet Thursday in the last game.
That's right.
Again, statistically, those 2 teams are really super duper close. Do I have time to bring in one more graphic for you that I made?
Hey, Colleen, it's your curling world. We're living in it. Let's see it.
You see Canada and Ontario. Their points for every game are 8.2. Their points against 3.6. Wow. That means they're holding their opponents to an average of 3.6. Those for Einerson and Homan are dead even and really the tail of the tape. Like those are outstanding statistics. You look at Jen Jones, for example, let me just see this. Jen Jones is scoring average of 6.6 points per game, giving up 5.6. That's too close for comfort. The wildcard team, 7.2 and 4.4 for Team Fleury. That's a good stat. Team Walker-Crocker has a good stat too at 7.6 and 4.5. A lot of people don't look at those stats. I love those stats. And yes.
How heavy is that board?
Pretty heavy. But I'm used to a 42-pound rock, so what can I tell you?
Listen, we got a jam-packed show. Rachel Homan, she just updated me. Randy's driving them back to the hotel, so we'll get to Rachel shortly. We have Glenn Howard on the show tonight. We have Jill Officer on the show tonight. A huge day for Jennifer Jones, who passed you for most Scotties wins all time, keeping up with the Jones.
And I'm number 2.
And you're number 2. But let's first start the show. We have the In the House fan segment every day. Really exciting. To set this up, Colleen, I got a beautiful note from Sarah. We'll see her in a second. I got a beautiful note after the show last night from Sarah, pouring her heart out, telling us about how big a curling fan she is, that it started in small town Ontario when she was 4 years old and has led to a lifetime of granite wonder. And she joins us on the show tonight. Let's welcome Sarah. Welcome to the show, Sarah. It's so good to see you. I know you were nervous, but you're on. You look great, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I actually, did my hair and my makeup for once in the last year. It was great.
Isn't that the truth during the pandemic? All of us are just always I'm wearing sweatpants every day of my life.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. It's so exciting to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad you are. And I hear you and I have met. Which championship was this?
Oh, man, this was in 2003. My dad graciously took me to Winnipeg from small town Ontario. We flew out of Ottawa, and I got to have a dream come true. We landed. I was, I have to say, the hugest Neto and Furby fan. They're basically what set my passion over the edge and started my obsession. I can totally relate to St. George when she says it's literally an obsession. And that experience really was eye-opening to me to see the world in Canada, and was one of the last opportunities to see both men and women at the same time.
There you are with Netowin.
Yeah, this was huge in 2001 at the Nokia Briar in Ottawa again. My dad being that driving force to really set our curling passion on fire at our house. This is what makes the sport so unique. Netowin had just won his very first Briar, and there he is at ice level taking a picture with my sister and I.
And that's what I
just incredible. Like it was really a monumental moment in my curling career, to just be at that moment and experience meeting him in such a unique setting.
So and what I miss the most about No Fans is that opportunity.
Right.
It's such a big part of the sport.
Entirely. But having this show is very helpful for that.
We're having a lot of fun, and we're doing it live. You talk about an obsession. I understand on your license plate you let that obsession be known. Tell us about that.
Yeah, like anybody who knew me throughout my younger years of sorts, I was writing poetry on curling. I was writing opinion letters on poetry. I was creating any kind of school assignments on curling, and it just kind of evolved into being called Curler Girl. And so now my little Toyota Corolla that's sitting in my driveway is sporting Curler Girl, and I'm sorry for all of those high-end curlers who probably deserve it a little bit more than I do. It's just kind of stuck with me, and now I sometimes get asked if I'm a hairdresser, and I'm really hoping that this year especially will kind of help to move curling forward in Canada, and maybe I'll be asked if I'm a curler instead.
Do you curl?
I do. I most recently have been out of the Oshawa Curling Club. I have 2 very young boys, one being 1 and 4. So I kind of had to pause and start and pause and start. I was raring to go. My 1-year-old, isn't attached to me anymore. This curling season. However, obviously, for certain circumstances, don't anymore. Where I grew up, though, at the Killaloe Curling Club, shout out to the Killaloe Curling Club, the 2-sheeter. They just opened, so I'm really hoping that for my dad's sake, he'll have the opportunity to curl as long as possible this season.
Awesome.
I can tell you, by the way, your curling addiction and your passion for it is every bit the exact same as like a curler for me or any. It's the same exact passion, even if you haven't won your own Scotties yet. That's to come.
It's unique. Oh, I don't know. When you're the exact same age as Rachel Homan and you're curling against her in provincials, it's a little bit of a stretch.
Look at this, Sarah. Tell us about this. There's Rachel on your screen right there. We're going to have her following you. Can you believe this? Could you have ever imagined that all these years later you'd be on a curling show and Rachel Homan would be following you on it?
Right.
Look at this picture.
Right. This is a throwback to 2005 at Amethyst Curling Camp. And you probably recognize Jen Gates in there also. She was in the Scotties just previously, her sister Amanda in there right now. And I did imagine it only because there was such a buzz about Rachel at camp that year. You know, everyone was talking about her. Everyone was talking her up and saying, you know, she's going to be big, and look where she is. And this is, like I said, 2005. You know, like it's incredible to see and to have followed her entire career. Like that's, again, like the uniqueness of the sport gives that opportunity to really watch those people grow up and watch those people like turn into the Rachel Homans that are now. And it was very unique. Like you know, we got to go in the pool and she has no clue who I am, and that's okay. There's no big deal. But the fact that I had that opportunity to be at that camp with her that year and a couple of years previous was incredible. Again, like the uniqueness of this is what makes curling.
Yeah, but you've got Curler Girl on your license plate, so hey,
right,
I'm jealous of that. I want that.
I'm sure the Nova Scotia one is open.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. Who are you picking, by the way?
Pardon?
Who are you picking?
Ooh, you know what? I have to go the Laura Walker route. Ontario roots. You know, having the start of things last year, and now having had a kid in between, and they're back at it. It's such a mix up this year. Like there are so many new faces. There are so many up and comings. I'm a big underdog person, probably because I am one. But at the same time, it's always nice. I love seeing Jen Jones reach that milestone today. So again, it's up for debate. However, I'm leaning the Walker away.
Nice
choice.
Sarah, so good to see you. I'm so glad you did this because your letter last night was just awesome, and it speaks to the power of this curling community. So thank you for being on the show tonight.
Yeah,
and I know I speak for many fans, and thank you for so much for doing this and for including small town Ontario people like me who just love the sport and just love every minute of what's happening right now.
Awesome. Take care. Enjoy the curling.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Sarah. Bye-bye. Awesome, right, Colleen? That is what this is about.
That's why we're doing the show, that curling show. I mean, because we knew the passion of fans and wanting to talk about it and have their point of view. Like, it's just huge. And it always has been in this sport. And, you know, showing that picture of me with her at the Worlds and Netawin at the Worlds, even if she just went for the fab for before, but she was stuck with me too. But the ability to get close to the, I'll put it in quotation marks, stars is what makes this game truly unique. You don't see that, you know, at NHL games. You see them walking by the thing, maybe high-fiving people when you could touch people.
Right.
Anyhow, it's definitely a unique part of the sport. Listen, I've got the tonight's schedule I want to talk about.
Okay, and we're going to obviously talk about Jennifer Jones' record with Jill Officer later in the show, because what a milestone that was today. Glenn Howard, he's getting ready for his 75th Brier appearance.
Is it his 75th? No, I meant game, win, or something. No.
Right. And of course, we're waiting for Rachel. They were getting treatments after today's game. You said it, call 8 months pregnant, and so you've got to keep that. That body in tip-top shape. It's a long week at the Scotties.
I like this graphic, keeping up with the Joneses. So Jennifer, with her 153rd Scotties win today, she has. I love this graphic too. Very nice. What a record. What an impressive career that she keeps on building on with her 6 Scotties, and she can surpass me and Jill Officer going to 7 if she pulls off another Scotties title here this win, which is also, I mean, I don't know that anybody ever thought any of us would get to 6,
Right.
Given how good the competition is. Like it's hard to get to that number 153. I don't know if people know, like even when I got to 100, I'm going, whoa, that was hard. To get to 153, and there's no end in sight for Jennifer's career. So
can we bring in Glenn right now? I don't want to rush Rachel. I think Glenn is here right now, producer Sophie. And here he is.
Hey.
Nice to see Glenn. Do you see the graphic there, Glenn? How are ya?
How are ya?
We heard you have an upper body injury.
Well, you know, they say that in sports, right? It's an upper body injury. You don't kind of divulge the severity of it. But truth be known, I had a snowmobile accident.
Oh.
And I was going around a corner, and this tree jumped out in front of me in the middle of the trail, unbeknownst to me, and I hit the tree. So needless to say, to be honest with you guys, very, very fortunate. I'm really lucky. I beat myself up pretty good, but I'm here, I'm standing, I'm with you guys, and very fortunate. Let's put it that way.
Whoa, did you break anything or concussion or?
Let's just say I broke anywhere between more than one and less than 10 ribs.
Oh no! Does that still hurt like crazy?
A little bit, but not bad, Colleen. I have to admit, it's all in all, I'm doing pretty well. I'm healing well. It's sore, ribs are sore, but again, I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, we're so glad you're here. Listen, we've got to run that video montage.
We do have a video, Glenn. We put together something special for Glenn. We went deep in the archives, Glenn.
I hope it's not me snowmobiling.
Take a look at this video. The Howard family in curling, such a special family. You guys have provided us so many incredible moments. Let's take a look at it.
Get your tissues again. It's amazing.
Easy let it go. They jumped right on it. He's got a good-looking shot.
Can he push it through that hole?
I think he has. Very close. Oh, look at that. They jumped on it right away. They yelled, whoa. He is well out there.
Is it going to bend enough?
Oh, he's
got a great looking shot.
Oh, he's going to pick it right out of there. He's got it.
Russ Howard, Glenn Howard, Tim Belfort, and Kim Carstairs are the 1987 Canadian men's curling champions.
Fairly straight. They can control it better. Danger, of course, is on some straight piece of ice. You cannot afford to get wide. Almost throw it in the corner of this rock and make contact. Get over.
He's calling it before I let it go.
All he has to do is remove this BC counter.
He's right on the money.
Howard has done it for the second time in his career. Russ Howard of Ontario is the Brier champion.
With the one in the rings or the guard.
He's got the stone in the rings. It's all over. Disappointment last year in Regina. A celebration this year in Hamilton.
This is your third Brier Championship. 2 as a third with your brother Russ, but your first as a skip. How rewarding is that?
To be honest with you, that doesn't matter to me. I just want to be a part of a team. I didn't care if I'm lead, second, third skip. I just want to win, and fortunately I did it with 3 buddies.
So Glenn Howard gathers himself final stone here in 10. Wayne McGaw calling off Saville and Lang. And there is no more heartbreak for Howard. Trent Howard, Wayne Madon, Brent Lang, Craig Saville are the 2012 Tim Hortons Brier champions.
Wow, that was a lot of winning.
Can we see that one more time?
You know what I love the most? The evolution of the brooms.
I thought the evolution of my hair was probably more of. You're right, Colleen. Isn't that something else? Where we've come in 30 years? Unbelievable.
Yeah. Your longevity is so impressive. I mean, except for the snowmobile accident.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so you're the same, Colleen. Come on.
Well, you're a superhuman. You're like an Iron Man. But listen, we just saw Wayne Madon that last Brier win. So tell us about him being back with you. And
well, obviously, we, when we found out we were coming, I had the accident. We realized that, who knows how I'm going to heal, whether I'm going to be able to play. Our first thought, all four of us said, we need Skip. And the number one guy who came to mind was Wayne Madon. And obviously, he's been out of the game for a while because he broke his leg literally 5 years ago. But he knows the game so well, and he knows me so well. He knows the guy so well. He's that type of guy that even though he hasn't played for 5 years, he's going to step on the ice and he's going to make a ton of shots. And the number one reason we're bringing him is because he wants to go there and win, and he is going to give it 150%. And I'll guarantee how he plays is going to be 150%, and that's all we can ask.
Glenn, how good is this Brier field yet again?
Oh man, Devin, it's as good as it gets. Like again, kudos to the CCA. To be able to put this on, number one, none of us thought we were going to be curling at all. And for them to be able to pull this off, and obviously they've done a wonderful job of Scotties. It's going well. Fingers crossed nothing happens. We're going to come in there, do the same thing. But to be able to put this field together, it's so much. There was controversy over how the teams were picked and how they were brought in, and I get that. But in the end of the day, the field is as good as it'll ever be. And again, huge kudos to the CCA.
how were you when you found out you were one of the picks?
Right.
Yeah, it's funny because surprised in a way because if you look at the 16 teams and I knew that Ontario was kind of looking at going with past champion. We lost the final to John Epping. Makes sense. Johnny's going to go. Even if they went higher rank, Johnny's going to go. It looked like we were out. And then they talked about expanding the field, and we knew. If they go with like a CTRS, which is our ranking system, which kind of made sense, that we are right there. We're going to be in the mix. And lo and behold, we got the call, and we were ecstatic. Obviously, it feels a little different because I'm so used to winning on that Sunday to get to go to a Brier. And so this is really different. But in the same token, I guess in a way we played well enough in the last year to get high enough ranked to get the spot.
But actually, watching some of the women's games, I can't help but wonder if that lack of the pressure of a Sunday provincial final affects some of the play that we've seen, if they've missed that pressure.
I think to a degree, it's gonna bother some teams, but I think the teams, they're so well coached today, and they're so prepared, and I think they're going to understand that this is a different year all around. It's just everybody's not comfortable, and nobody's in the position where they want to be going into the Scotties, going into the Brier. There's no chance. You can't be. So it's the team that can kind of get their head around the fact that it is different. I haven't been able to practice the way I wanted to. I haven't been able to train the way I wanted to. It's still just curling shots. A lot of it's really right here, and it's the team that can figure that out and not worry about that. I think are going to do the best.
It is up there.
Last question, Glenn. Just you and I have had so many conversations about how much you love this game, and then we see the highlights over all the years and what it's provided, the memories for your family, and like I said, all of the Canadians who've been along for the ride. Do you have a different perspective in the midst of having been away from all of it and what it's brought to your life, and now going back to another Brier?
It's funny, Devin. The reason I play is because I love the sport and I love to have fun. I love to compete, and I don't personally want to be that guy that goes off into the sunset making 45% of my shots. Personally, still be able to make a bunch, but I love to be out there. I love to smell the ice. I love to just hear the crowd or my teammates or whatever. I just love to be out there competing, and I haven't embarrassed myself yet, so I'm okay. But from that perspective, I'm just as excited going in a week from now than I did in 1986 to my first one. And it really is amazing. And to Colleen's point, there's been so many changes in the game. I've seen it all. I'm old enough to have seen it all, but I fortunately been able to adapt to all the changes as we've gone along. And I still love the game as much today at 58 years old as I did when I started and when I was 10.
And is every win special for you? Do you have a favorite from that highlight reel?
Not really, Colleen. Your first one's really special because you just want to get to a national championship, let alone winning it. And then when you win one, it's like, oh my God, every dream you could possibly think of has come true. Fortunately, I've been able to win a few, but I think the fact that they're all about the same. I love to win. I love to compete, and no one's better than the other. What I'm probably most proud of has been my longevity. I've been able to compete and do well at every sort of decade that I've played in, and that's kind of cool. But again, all of this would not have been possible without the great teammates that I've had over my career. I've had the world champions that I've had. As Wayne McDowell would say, you can swing a dead cat and you'll hit a world champion. So I've had every one of my teammates. I've got so many great teammates, and that you cannot win individually. It's a team.
Okay, well, we're hoping for your ribs to
heal up.
Heal.
I literally threw my first rock today, guys.
How did that feel?
Not bad. I threw about 10 sore, but no lift. I had to go to the no lift because I can't swing it. So am I going to be ready? It's going to be hard to say. I don't know. I think Wayner's going to be taking the reins, and I'll be in the background, maybe coaching. Who knows? Maybe I'll lob one up and down a couple of games. But we'll wait and see.
Wow, the last of the lifters. It might be.
I can't go. I think it's time to retire. If I have to go to the no lift, Colleen, it's time to pack it in.
Nah, not yet.
Well done.
On the show.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure, and thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Happy to. We had to have the "How are ya" section, especially given.
Okay, listen, Colleen, we're moving on. Rachel's here. We don't want to keep her waiting because we've been looking forward to this. And we've been talking about her great play all night. And she joins us now from inside the Calgary bubble. As Scotties like no other. Rachel, so good to see you. How are you? You got the treatment done and another win just like that.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me on the show.
We're calling you Rachel. Oh, man, like it's good because you're on fire. You're statistically the top skip there. You're almost 8 months pregnant?
Very 8 months pregnant, yeah.
You're very. I mean, people are like, how is she doing it? Way to go. What's the biggest adjustment for you throwing the rock, or even maybe, I remember being pregnant, I was tired by 8 and 9 months.
Yeah, actually my energy levels are really good. Just a few body aches that obviously come with being this far along and trying to have balance on the ice and sliding up and down and even walking and things like that. But yeah, when I'm curling, it feels really good and not too many changes there. So I've been fortunate, and the pregnancy is going really well. And we're so excited to be on the ice. And obviously this far along, we weren't sure if I was going to be able to be here. So I'm thankful that I am here, and the team's playing so well and making my job easy out there. That's for sure.
Well, 84% top skip.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's been so fun to watch, Rachel, and you're such a champion. You're the last skipper to win back-to-back Scotties. We put together a little something for you to watch and for the fans to watch. Let's take a look at it.
Right.
Rachel Homan in her second Scotties appearance out of the Ottawa Curling Club. You hear the crowd. They are the Canadian Women's Curling Champions.
Way to go, you guys. Well done. What a show.
An opportunity here to end it. Rachel Homan and the team from the Ottawa Curling Club. They were champions a year ago. They're champions again. Crowd settles. In a 6-6 tie. In an extra end, Manitoba sitting Sean Stone. And the Whiskey calling line, they got her now. Courtney Weagle, you gotta run this back and catch it, run it back. Got it for a third Canadian championship, Rachel Homan. women's curling champions for 2017 from the Ottawa Curling Club.
Wow, that's pretty sweet. Look, you were a baby. You were a baby yourself back then, Rachel.
Yeah, that first one was I looked pretty young in that one.
Actually, we earlier on the show we had our fan of the day, and she had a sweet picture of you at the camp.
There it is.
I don't know what camp it is.
Yeah, that would have been maybe the Sudbury camp, Amethyst.
I think
Yep.
that's the one.
That's the one.
Pretty sweet.
2005.
Crazy, yeah, Amethyst.
Listen, how do you like this year's format, top three? Do you think that's an awesome thing, or what are you thinking?
I don't know. To be honest, I've been just trying to focus on getting out there on the ice and playing our game and trying to make it through each game. I haven't really looked too much at the schedule and that. Obviously, top three makes it a little bit scarier than top four. But, I mean, there's so many good teams here, and we know that the top three are going to be there at the end of the week, and Canada's going to be happy with any of those three moving forward and be represented really well. So, yeah, it's just a different format this year because of the way things happened, and yeah, excited to see how it unfolds.
Listen, we have your sweet little Instagram post when you posted the fact that you were expecting. It was very, you had to see it. Look at your cute little, Devin's got envy over the jacket.
The plaid jacket, right?
Sure, we could find you a matching one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's Riot, and there's Sean in the crowd. And what's this been like, Rachel, being in the bubble? And it's a completely different experience. We saw your dad there. He's your biggest fan, jumping around in the background for all of the wins.
Yeah,
What's it?
He's been on quite a few highlights, maybe more than me sometimes. That's the way it should be. It's awesome just to see kind of that pure reaction. And I think that's really what we're missing the most, is just having our friends and family here. We know that they're cheering hard and watching everything they can, but you're not always the TV games, so they don't get to see all of our games like they normally would. And even in between games, or if you've got a day off, you're able to visit and just kind of enjoy the experience together as a family. And so that's kind of just the one thing that's kind of missing this year. But we've got FaceTime, thankfully, and Zoom and texting. So been in touch with family lots, and we're just so fortunate to be here and all the work that's gone into making this happen. And it's just so smooth in and out from the hotel to the venue. The test, everything went well. We got the all clear ES this morning. That 105 athletes all got the negative, and which, yeah, it's going really good so far.
Listen, quick question about the Women's Worlds and the cancellation of it in Switzerland. And not that I guess you could have gone to the Worlds in Switzerland. I haven't calculated that far to that. But you'd have to win this first. You know what I mean? But what about the fact that it's not even kind of scheduled yet? How frustrating is that for the women's game? Any thoughts?
Well, I think they really wanted to make it happen in Switzerland, and we're hopeful that whether it was vaccinations or what, that it was going to be able to go through. And the fact that wasn't, is not anyone's fault per se, but obviously the cancellation is disappointing, but it sounds like there might be some things in the works, whether it moves to May or September could be a viable option. I know for now it's canceled, but we might see it down the line. And to be honest, I think as Canadian curlers, everyone here, whether there's Worlds or not, we're excited that we get to have all this experience. Like, trials are around the corner. All these events that Curling Canada is putting on, it's exactly what Canada needs. Whether we get to go and play the international teams or not, obviously that would be a bonus in being able to go to Worlds. But this is really, they put so much work into making sure that hopefully this is tons of preparation and lots of competitive games on great ice and a great venue to be able to prepare and lead into that trials year next year, going into end of November. So I think it's, obviously a little bit disappointing about the Worlds, but it doesn't really change much for anybody. I don't think everyone's going to want to try and win and be at the top and see where their game's at compared to all the peers in Canada.
And in some way, this is all about, not, of course, the Scotties first, but it's all about the Olympic trials. How badly do you want to get back there to the Olympics in Beijing?
Yeah, I definitely want to get back there. It's obviously number one goal down the road right now. We're in an event, so not thinking that far in advance. We're focused on our job here this week and learning as a team and growing and getting better. And then obviously once this event is over and this season, then we'll be gunning hard for that trial spot and trying to be at the top of the podium there as well.
Yeah,
Rachel, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're healthy and curling well, and it's been a joy to watch you at this year's Scotties, and I know there's a lot more to come. So just sending you our best as you go through the rest of the Scotties, and of course to my hometown of Saskatoon for the Olympic trials. But thank you for doing this tonight.
Yeah.
Keep it going. I was a little bit late.
No, it's all good. Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks
Take
so much,
care.
guys.
Good luck.
You too.
Yeah, good luck. Rachel Homan.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, she's on
I love
fire.
that, Pauline.
I guess we could have called her Rachel O'Baby.
Right?
No.
Oh, baby. No. Listen, you and I have been talking about it a lot tonight, and everybody's been clamoring about it today. Jennifer Jones, the big win, and you know that Jill Officer was on the ice for so many of those wins, and it's awesome that she's joining us on the show tonight. There she is. Jill, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, good. How are you guys?
Hi, Jill. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Jill.
Yeah, good to see you guys too. The show you guys are doing is great. So I'm super honored to be on it here tonight.
Oh, you're so nice. 153 wins for the old skipper.
How about that? Yeah, isn't that amazing? I mean, you know, in all those years that I played with her, I guess thinking back to it and where that's led her to now, it's almost not a surprise. But yeah, that's quite the feat, and sort of at the same time, no surprise that it's her that broke your record, Colleen.
I think you were right there too, though, weren't you?
Well, I mean, I've missed the last couple of years, of course, since stepping away from the team, so I certainly would be behind a little bit, but at least we're still tied with her for another maybe 5 or 6 days in the other record
girlfriend. Listen, what do you miss the most? And do you ever play like league play, or what do you miss about the competitive part?
I don't play league play. I've filled in for teams over the last few years. You know, I've had some involvement with Team Fleury because my niece plays lead for the team. So I spared for them a few times, coached them a little bit last year. I think I miss the competitiveness of it and getting out there and playing games in the arena. I don't miss all the work that goes into it. You know, that was sort of why that was sort of why I stepped away, was because I was mentally and emotionally drained, and I didn't want to put in all that work anymore to be able to compete at the top level. So, you know, I do miss the competition part of it and going out on the ice, playing in things like the Scotties. But I don't miss the rest of the stuff that came along with it. Thankfully, I've been able to stay connected to the game, so I don't feel that I went completely cold turkey or anything. I've been able to stay connected to the curling community, which was really important to me.
Yeah. You know, you just bring up such a good point, and I don't know that curling fans understand the amount of work it takes to be a champion, because it consumes every part of your life. And your family's got to be on board. And then there's nutrition. And then there's the gym. And then there's curling practice. And then there's sports psychology. And then there's your job. You have a job on top of that. So by the end of it, you are sort of like, wow, you're just in a sort of a merry-go-round of awesomeness. But yet, it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is a ton of work. And it's good. Like I have no regrets about my experience. I'm glad I put the hard work in and the time and the effort. There comes a time where you need to make a choice as to whether or not you want to continue to do that. So
Yeah.
Jill, I got to ask you, we're all in our bubbles. We're all, normally we would want to be there watching it and reading the ice and doing all the things, but we're all watching on TV. We're seeing some great shots. We're seeing some misses. Can you give us a little bit of perspective of how you would imagine you would prepare for a Scotties, having really not played for weeks and weeks and weeks, and what level of rust we would be seeing? Because we've been hearing from the fans, there have been some routine misses. So can you just take us into that and tell us, the fans and the people watching, how you would approach that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think, what I've been finding about the Scotties is that it's something normal that's happening at this time of year for us, right? I've always had involvement in the Scotties for so long, and so it seems normal. And so when we as fans get to watch it, our expectations are still normal of these teams. Right. And I think we have to remember that a lot of these teams haven't either played, they haven't played games together, they haven't practiced, or maybe had one opportunity to practice in the last 3 months before arriving in the bubble. So I think we have to keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. I think in terms of how I would have approached it is probably a lot of discussion about what types of distractions or lack of distractions, like fans, that there might be. And I think it would have just come down to a lot of mental visualization about what that environment was going to be like, and what was going to be similar and what was going to be different, and basically going in with the attitude that you need to be adaptable.
Right. Yeah, so adaptable. Listen, what about no Women's Worlds yet? And I know it might come. And how if they move it to September or the fall, how hard is that for the Canadian teams that are so focused on the Olympic trials? I mean, no other country has an Olympic trials as tough as what Canada has. So how hard is it to peak if you had a Worlds in the fall followed by the Olympic trials?
Yeah, I think obviously, my daughter.
Hi, hey, is she a curler too?
She's starting a little bit. Yeah, she's been quite interested in your show.
Nice. Hey, pull her full screen.
Yeah, this is Cameron.
There you go.
Hi, Cameron.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of the Worlds and stuff, I mean, yeah, it's not an ideal situation, right? It's not ideal that you'd have two major championships like that within a few months, and then whoever goes to the Olympics could be facing a third event. But I mean, look what we're dealing with. It's a global pandemic. We're going to do what we can. And the other thing we have to keep in mind is that we still need to qualify Canada for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's going to be a collective effort that, however that plays out leading up to Beijing, I think there's going to be a collective effort to make sure that we qualify our member association and our country for those Beijing games. And I think that'll be priority. And however that works out, I think, all the teams would be on board with doing their best to make that happen.
True. Although we're seeing a lot of the other Summer Olympics, I know in boxing, the qualification method kind of changed. Listen, let's ask your daughter. Let's bring you guys full screen again and ask your daughter who's going to win this year's Scotties.
Ooh. What do you think, Cameron?
I don't know.
One of the Manitoba teams? One of the 5 Manitoba teams?
Kristen.
Cousin Kristen from Fleury's team. That's who she'd like to see win.
Oh, good one. And Jill, what about these the top 3? How much does that impact even this first part of the round robin? Losses are big, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get through this first part of the week with very, very with 1 loss or 0 losses, then you're going into the championship round in a pretty good position. If you sneak in with 2, you still have all the top teams to play, or some of the top teams, obviously, from the other pool. So, I don't think you want to go into the championship round with much more than 2 losses. So there's a lot of teams that are on that bubble, and a team like Jones, for example, or Fleury, they're at 2 losses. But then when they go to the crossover, if they make it through, they still have Homan and Anderson to play.
Right. Hello. That's not going to be pretty either, is it?
Yeah. And then with only 3 teams, somebody's going to get left out. There's going to be top teams that we're not going to see in the playoffs.
Yeah. Jennifer's, the draw looks good for her to hold on to 2 losses. But
agreed.
Anyhow, we never know, do we? Slippery game played on ice.
I'm just happy to be watching curling.
Yeah, all of us are. Here's cheers to that.
Yeah.
Listen, great to see you virtually in our little curling show bubble.
Thanks
Love
for
it.
having me, you guys. This is great.
Oh, nice to see you again. What a champion, Jill.
Hi, Cameron. Say hi to everybody back home, Jill. Great to see you.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Bye.
Awesome. Bye, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
for doing this, Jill. See you. You know, a lot of good points made tonight. And Colleen, what I should have brought you up to speed on this, but it sounds as though the World Curling Federation is making some decisions on the Women's Worlds. I expect that we're going to be getting an answer on that sooner than later. And of course, as soon as I get that news, all the curling fans will get the news. But some great perspective tonight. I can't believe that Glenn got in a snowmobile.
That was breaking news here on the curling show too.
Yeah.
I mean, snowmobile accidents. He is right. When that tree jumped out and hit him, you're lucky. You're lucky you lived by that. By the way, you had already brought me up to speed on one of our 14 phone calls today.
It's all blurred. Okay, we got to go. We're 15 minutes
Did you
away.
see our big games?
A massive night of curling. There's 4 games with championship round ramifications. Let's do this, and then let's settle in for the night of curling. Colleen, set up the big night.
Well, the 2 big ones, Wildcard 1 versus PEI, because Team Fleury, with their 2 losses now, up against Burt with 1. And I mentioned earlier Suzanne's stat at 64%. Fleury's team, that's what we're calling now, they're looking good. Brown is on a roll, so we'll see if she can hold on to those 2 losses. This is the big one, though, that you're loving, isn't it? Quebec versus Saskatchewan. So we'll see how Anderson performs. She really can't drop to 3, I don't think, in that pool. It's going to be 2.
No, she lost the game you had to have this morning against New Brunswick. But, you know, I guess what we're seeing at this year's Scotties predict the unpredictability of it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is what we're seeing. You can't really pick a winner because it's been all over the place. And I expect tonight should have some drama. And you know how much I love that.
You love drama. And your plants. We've got to talk more about your plants on tomorrow's show, okay?
We will talk about my plants. I have 8 plants now. It's getting out of control. We're 13 minutes away from more Scotties curling. This is fun. We're doing it live. We're here every night, all the way to the championship. Remember, send us your photos, videos. Curling Day in Canada on Saturday. We're doing a big special. We're going coast to coast to coast to highlight the great curling fans across this country, Colleen.
Love it. Every corner of it. We should have asked Rachel about her outdoor rink that our hubby built for her. Anyhow, yeah, send it. I've got some videos to send from Nova Scotians who's got them, so I'll send them your way too. Awesome. And thank you to everybody watching us. We love you. And we'll see you again tomorrow night. Right, Deb?
Good night. Good luck. Good curling. Enjoy it tonight. We'll see you on Twitter in a few minutes. Bye,
Thanks, producer Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie.